Hi guys, welcome back to another video on Next.js. In this video, I'm going to be building an awesome video conferencing application. So let me give you a quick demo of this app. So when we launch the landing page, the home page of this application, we will see this awesome landing page. This is the hero section and this is a default placeholder for the logo. You can replace it if you want. So first of all, we need to provide our name with which we want to join a meeting. And after that, these two things are going to be visible. Here, we can give any meeting link which our friend or other team member may provide us, and after giving the meeting link we can join the existing meeting, or we can click on create a new meeting. So let me click on that. So it will take me to this URL room/this ID, and you can see that my video is on and I can disable my mic and the camera, and I can change the settings, select a proper device for the microphone and the speakers from here, and I can change the name for joining this room. And also before joining, I can share this meeting link with someone. Okay, so let me click on join. Once I will click on join, the other team members can join this meeting as well. So you can see that here I can disable my microphone, my webcam, I can share my screen as well. And I can change the settings of this application, again audio, video, and change the layout if multiple team members are joining this meeting. On the bottom right corner, I can click on this information. I can copy this personal link. I can see how many team members have joined this meeting. I'm going to show you by joining it from another browser using the same meeting ID which I have just created. And I can chat in this room with other team members just like Zoom or a Google Meet. Now, if I copy a meeting link from here and open up another browser, let's say Firefox, and I'm going to paste this meeting link over here. I need to allow the microphone and camera, and it is going to have this URL. Let me click on join now. So here I've joined from Firefox using the same meeting link, and now you can see that it is showing two users. This is me, and this is the other user, the first one which was joining this meeting room. And here we can see that we can actually chat with each other. If I write hi, and this is going to receive this particular message from this particular user along with the timing, and I can change the layout. Now it is going to reflect over here. How cool is that? And if I copy only this particular ID from the URL rather than going over here and copy the personal link, let me open up a local host in Firefox and let me add another name like John, and I can paste this meeting ID over here. All right, and then I can click on join, and it is going to give me this particular name because this is what I wrote. And now I can click on join. Now you can see that I have joined the same meeting link from different ways, and if I click on it, you can see that this is me currently opened, this is the second user, this is the first user, and I can actually send a message to all of these users. So all of these options are customizable. I can set the configuration before starting the meeting, whether I want to mute or unmute microphone, just like the camera, and I can customize this particular option, whether I want to allow users to share their screens or not, and how many team members should be able to join this meeting. So the platform I'm going to be using for implementing video conferencing feature in my Next.js application is Zegocloud. It is an awesome tool and a global communication service provider which provides us developer-friendly SDKs and APIs to build many communication features such as video call, chat, video conference, live streaming, and much more. And it is supported by many developers and used by many companies. And you can see that it provides SDKs for video call, voice call, live streaming, in-app chat, cloud recording, AI effects, super broad, and digital human-like features. So this video is about exploring all the UI kits that it provides for implementing video conferencing feature. So let's click on explore all UI kits. So it builds faster and ship more with pre-built UI kits and pre-built UI components, and we can see that it gives us 20 plus UI kits. It is open source. It has 50 plus components. It is cross platform and highly customizable. So these are all the platforms that we can integrate Zegocloud with. It gives us pre-built components, pre-built code snippets that we can copy paste and use it in our application within few minutes, which it would have taken us weeks or months to implement the same functionality if we try to go with the custom implementation. So these are the pre-built UI components and forms that we don't need to spend time on. And these are the different options which I've already shown you: dynamic video layout, in-room messages, face beautification, call invitation, and these are the things which it covers the needs for the various industries: one-on-one call, group call, video conference, live streaming, audio, room, in-app chat, and these are the different UI kits which we can explore. So if I click on this start building button, it will take me to the create your account page. On the left hand side, you can see that it is saying we can build our complete video conferencing app within 30 minutes with few lines of code, which I'm going to show you in this video. And when we will create our new account, we will get 10,000 free minutes, which I think are enough for MVP or initial launch of your application. And obviously, as I've told you, that we can integrate this toolkit with all major platforms out there. So let's create our new account. So I'm going to write first name, last name. Let me write country. Let me write email ID. And once I'll write email ID, I need to click on get code and I need to verify myself. So click on images that best match theme of the sample image. Click on this, verify. Please select the two donuts. You need to click on each donut. So after a few seconds, we will get our verification code 381854. Let me add my password. So once you fill the form, you can click on this checkbox to get all the updates and marketing news by Zegocloud. And you need to click on this checkbox as well. So click on start your free trial. After signing up, you will have this model opened. We need to write company name. So I'm simply going to write learning here. And I can click on the job titles. So let's click on individual developer. You need to click on the industry. I've selected IT technology and service, and I need to provide my phone number. After entering the details, I need to click on continue button. And it is showing some benefits that we have got after signing up, that we have got 10,000 free minutes for 1 month, and we have got advanced sport plan for next 15 days. Now I'm going to click on go to dashboard. On the dashboard, you need to click on create your project. This is a project which I just created for testing. So you need to click on create your project. So these are the all different options which you can integrate in your application, like video calls, live streaming, audio calls, in-app chat. So I'm going to click on video conference option and I'm going to scroll down and click on next. Here, I'm going to name my project. So I'm going to name it Next.js video app. You can name anything you want. So below there are two ways in order to integrate the video conference app: UIKits and SDKs. So I'm going to select this UIKit. Let's click on this web and start with UIKits. So it's going to take few seconds to initialize and create your application. After this, you need to select the platform for which you want to integrate video conferencing UIKit. So I'm going to go with web. Let's click on that. After that, it is going to show these options. On the right side, it is showing the basic configurations initially. So I'm going to click on group call and I'm going to enable all of these features. Enable microphone, camera. So these will be enabled initially when we will launch our application. Audio settings should be enabled. Screen sharing should be enabled, although we can enable and disable that directly from the code as well. But I'm going to go with the default selections. Let's select auto and click on save and start. So here it is simply showing that it has successfully creating the UIKit for video conferencing app. It is just verifying it. So I'm going to click on the dashboard now and I'm going to open up this application which I have just created, video conference. So this page is showing some basic information like the project name, region, app ID, which is required. I'm not going to show you mine because this is confidential, and we need server secret as well, which is also private as well. You can create yours for implementing in your application. So from here, I'm going to click on View Guide on a new tab, and I'll come back to this page for copying my app ID and the server secret from this page. So this particular docs are giving us some information how we can integrate video conferencing UI kits in our application. So I'm going to select Web JavaScript, and I'm going to select using npm package manager. So I'll come back to this. It's time to create our new Next.js project from scratch. So I've opened up VS Code with an empty folder. So in the terminal, I'm going to write a command, create next app at latest space dot. So I'll hit enter. It's going to ask me a few questions: TypeScript, ESLint, Tailwind, yes; source, no; app router, yes; customizable, no. So it's going to download few packages in order to run our application. So let's wait for it. So our project is created. Let me clear the terminal out, and I'm going to open up app. First of all, let's verify if our app is properly running without any issue. So I'm going to run my application npm run dev. So let's go over here. Let's run localhost colon 3000 again. Let's refresh this page. So it should show the default UI provided by Next.js, and this is how it looks like. So I'm going to open up the layout, global.scss. So I'm going to remove everything from here. These are the simple styling, except this one, because we are going to be implementing the UI for the landing page using Tailwind CSS. Okay. Let's open up the layout. We don't need to modify anything in this file, and let's open up the page. So I'm going to remove everything from here because I will be modifying it in my own way. So let's start off with a div as a main container. Okay, and here let's write class name, width full, and height screen. Okay, so for this particular div, I'm going to add a section, and this is going to have a class name, and this is going to be of color BG gray 950, and text is going to be white. All right, and this particular section is going to contain another div, and this div is going to take up an image. Let's write an image, and also this is going to take up all the text and the form for entering name, for entering the room ID, and also the buttons. Okay, so let me give some class names to it. So here it is going to take mx auto, max width screen excel, px4, py32 flex column, and this is going to take gap 24, flex height screen, items center. Okay, so here I'm going to add a few more things, but first of all let me verify if everything is working fine. So let's save it. Let's go over here. You can see that it has changed its background color and everything is on the center, and this is the only text which I have given to it. Okay, so now I'm not going to spend much time on the UI because I want to focus on the actual task for implementing the video conferencing UI kit from Zegocloud in my Next.js application. I hope that you already aware of how to write the HTML, CSS and Tailwind CSS classes, but I'm going to copy paste from my notes and will try to explain each and every component, an element which I'm going to add over here. So first of all, I'm going to add an image over here. So this is an image from this class, the image class from the Next.js. It has this logo. So I'm going to add the logo in my public folder like this. Okay, so let me save it. It should show the logo at the center. How cool looking is that? And after that, I'm going to add another div below this image. So let me add this div, and inside this particular div, first of all, I'm going to add the top heading. Okay, so this is the heading which I have added, and I can actually add some classes to it. So mx auto, mx w for excel, text center. All right, this is for actually making everything smooth and not overlapping. And after this h1 I'm going to add another h1 like this. All right, and after this I'm going to add the description. These are the simple text and these are the simple Tailwind CSS classes. So let me add this. This is how it's looking like. And after this, I need to add a div including an input type element. Okay, so let's add a div, and inside it, I'm going to add an input. This is going to be taking type text. This is going to take ID equals to room ID. All right, and also this is going to take the placeholder. So enter your name. Actually, ID should be name. Okay, so once we are done with it, this is how it's looking like. We need to add the class to it. So let me add the classes. So this is the class name I've added with border, background color, and this is how it's looking like now. Okay, so I need to actually add a global state variable which is going to pass the name which I'm going to enter over here to the next page. Okay, and next page is not going to be a child component for this particular thing. So for that reason, I'm going to be installing zustand as a dependency. So npm I zustand. This is a global state management system and quite awesome, and I would say much better than Redux and the context API because it requires less configuration for adding and allowing the global variables to be accessible in multiple components in React or Next.js applications. So here I'm going to create another folder hooks, and inside it I'm going to create a file use user.ts. All right, so in this particular file I'm going to import create from the stand. All right, and now let me create an interface. So I'm using an extension VS Code. You can also install that. It suggests us few codes. Sometimes it suggests the right code. Sometimes we need to modify it. This one, Super Maven. Okay. So here I'm not going to name it name. I'm going to change it to full name. And also I'm going to write set full name and change it to name. Okay, now I can use this create and then this iUser interface over here, and then I can pass this set, and here I can write the full name and set full name. Okay, so also I will be writing full name over here. Let me write this out, then I'm going to explain it, and I'm going to export it as a default. So export default use user. So what the stand is doing is it is going to allow this particular variable to be accessible all over the application in all components, and we don't need to wrap it as a provider in our layout or any the parent component. And this is also going to be accessible by any component, and this function I have added, and this is used to change the value of this full name. So whenever on the landing page I'm going to change the value of this full name, on the next page where I'm going to show the video conferencing UIKit, I can actually get back this full name value to show it in that form. Okay, so I think we are good to go with it for now. Okay, so let's close it. And here in our app, I'm going to import that particular hook. Okay, so I'm going to be using const full name and set full name from use user hook, which I've just created. Okay, and I will also be needing the room ID, and set room ID and use state is a hook. So whenever we are using the hook, we need to convert that particular component as a client component by writing used client. This is recommended by Next.js, otherwise it is going to throw some error. Okay, and I will also be needing use router to use router, and I need to import it from next navigation. Okay, all right, so also I will be needing use effect. Okay, and this is for when I'm going to navigate back to this particular landing page. I want to make the full name to empty. I want to empty this text box which is going to show the name. Okay, now it is configured. Let's come back over here in our input. So now when it is going to get changed on change, I'm going to fill up set full name with the value which is going to be added inside it, like this. All right, and after this I'm also going to add a condition. If the full name is exists and full name length is greater than 3, then I'm going to show the below text box and the buttons for starting or joining a particular room, for joining a meeting. Okay, so let's add this, and inside it I'm going to add a div. So this div is going to take input and a button. So let me add these. Okay, so this is taking room ID. So this is the ID. Let me change it to capital D. Now there won't be any error. And let me add few classes to this particular div. Okay, let me run my application to see how it is looking like. So let's refresh. And currently you can see that how cool it is looking, and both of these text boxes are visible, which I need to hide. But before that, let me add another div below this particular div. Okay, and here you can see that it is showing or create a new meeting, and it is taking us to this dynamic route which I have yet need to create. I'm using, when I'm clicking on this particular button, I'm actually navigating my page, my home page, to this particular route, room/room ID, and room ID is going to be this one, which I'm going to write over here in this particular text box. All right, so here it is showing some kind of error. Okay, when I'm going to generate a new meeting, I want to automatically create that particular ID and append it in the URL, and for that I need to install npm uuid, and this is an awesome package for implementing and creating an automatically random alphanumeric values. Okay, so let's come at the top and let's import uuid, and we would also need to install its types. So let's copy it, let's paste it over here. Okay, now let's save it. You can see that the error is gone, and error should be gone from here as well. Now one last thing we need to do over here is to add a check that full name exists and full name dot length should be greater than equals to 3, and then it should be visible. Okay, so let's come down, and here I'm going to close it with parentheses and the curly braces. Okay, now let's go and verify that. Let me run my application. Let's refresh. And now you can see that it's not visible. When I start writing with 3, you can see that these things are started visible, and this is working perfectly fine. So we are done with the landing page. Next thing is I need to create this dynamic URL, so that when I click on this join button or I click on this create a new meeting, I should be able to navigate to that. So let's create a new route. I'm going to create a folder, room, and inside this folder I'm going to create another folder for taking the dynamic value from the URL, so room ID. And inside this folder I'm going to create a page.tsx. okay, let me create the initial structure for this, so room, and this is going to take params, and in Next.js we use this flow to actually take the dynamic value from the URL. okay, and here I can actually log this param.room ID, and this is going to give us this room just to verify whether it is working fine. So let's go over here, let's refresh, and let's write something. And if I right click on the create a new meeting, and it is taking us to this particular URL, and if I go over here, it should show us this particular ID. It means that we are successfully passing this UUID from this URL. okay, and here I will also be like to show this the user which I am entering in my landing page to see if we are accessing the global variable or not. So I'm going to write first full name, actually full name from use user should be fetched from this particular hook, and I will also be needing the UUID over here, so let's import that. And next thing I will be needing, if I go over here, I will be installing this particular package, Zegocloud Zego UIKit pre-built. okay, I've already shown you how we can navigate to this page, so let me copy this and let's install it by adding it in the terminal. So it's going to take some time to install it. Yes, it is installed, and let's import Zegocloud UIKit pre-built from this particular package which we have already done. So let me add full name over here to see if we are passing that particular name to the next component or not. So let's go over here, let's go back, let's refresh, and I'm going to write let's say next 14 video app. This is the name. Now I'm going to click on create a new meeting. So use ref only works, so actually I'm using a hook, so I need to convert it into the client as well. okay, so now let's refresh this, let's add Omer Jamil and click on create a new meeting. So here I should be able to see this name. Yes, so I can actually access the name, so it means over the stand setup is working fine, which I can close. okay, next thing I need to do is I need to create an env file in which I'm going to add the app ID which I showed you and the server secret. okay, so .env which I have created, so I'm going to add the variables. So next public Zego app ID. okay, and next public Zego, I'm going to write secret. Actually it is named as server secret. okay, now I'm not going to show you, but I'm going to add that app ID and the server secret from the dashboard. You can add yours. So I actually added the app ID value and the server secret value from dashboard in my env file and closed that file. okay, so now let's remove this particular line. This was just for verification, and now I need to actually get the room ID from the params.room ID. This room ID is referring to the folder name. Make sure you don't misspell it. okay, now let's go to the documentation. Keep clicking the React because Next.js documentation I think needs some modification. So this is cleaner way to implement that what is showing under the React tab. So just ignore this thing. This is just generating the random ID. We have already generating this ID using UUID. We don't need to copy this function. Also, we don't need this function actually getting the dynamic value from the URL, this one, and we are already fetching the dynamic value from the params UU room ID actually. Okay, so now here inside this component, it has created this particular variable let meeting. Okay, so I'm going to copy all of these things, the whole meeting under this room ID. Okay, all right, so now let me give it a type any and any to the element, and first of all it is requiring this app ID and the server secret, which we have already added in our env file. So I need to write process.env next underscore public Zego app ID. Make sure you copy it from your env file and paste it directly over here, this name. Okay, and also process.env next public Zego server secret. So this is these app ID and server secret is required by this Zegocloud generate kit token. So it is giving few errors. Let me see what is that. So it require an integer, but this is returning a string. So I can convert it into a string by writing parse int, and I need to write exclamation mark so that it is not undefined. Okay, and also let's write exclamation mark over here so that it doesn't throw any error that it might be undefined. Now if I hover over it, you can see that it requires few parameters. First one is app ID, which we have already provided. Next, server secret, room ID, these three things we have already provided. Fourth one is the user ID. Okay, user ID, when you try to implement a real application, you might be integrating the authentication authorization in your application, and in authorization you might have user ID who is logged in, which you can use, but currently we don't have the authentication feature implemented in our application. But to implement this, to add the user ID, we can simply write UUID, and this is going to work like a user ID. Okay, let's hover over it and let's see what's next. So we need to provide the username, which is of type string. This is the fifth parameter. The username is coming from this full name, so which we can add over here rather than random ID. So I can write full name. If full name does not exist, then I can write a user plus date dot now. Okay, user number. Okay, this is always going to be different. What is the last one? Last one is the expiration seconds actually. So we can actually expire this particular link when it is generated after, let's say, 1 hour. How many seconds are in 1 hour? I think 720. Okay, so we need to provide it in seconds. Okay, there is no error now, so configuration is fine. Now let's come back to this create kit token which we have provided. Now this join room contains few things. It is also generating the copied link over here. When we try to so shareable link, we can change it to this shareable link, and this is generating the new room ID, generating the URL which we can copy and paste for anybody to join that particular meeting. And then there is a scenario mod Zegocloud pre-built video conference. We can change it to a voice call, we can change it to live streaming, but after changing it, other configuration might change a bit as well. Okay, so we are going with video conference, so let's go with that. Okay, now one last thing we need to do is to load up this my meeting in our HTML under this particular div. Okay, so let's come over here, let's copy this particular div and paste it over here. All right, and now it has started showing the this thing, Okay, so you can see that it has automatically loading up this particular thing. So how cool is that? Let's navigate back to the landing page. Okay, since we are not using the styles, we are using the tailwind, we don't need to add this as well. So I'm going to write let's say width full and height screen, and that's it. Okay, so our application is almost complete. I'll come back to this, that how many other configuration options we can pass to this particular join room. But let's test our application by rerunning and refreshing this landing page. So let me add my name, and let's start off with create a new meeting. All right. So now you can see that we have this particular UI automatically built and provided by Zegocloud, and it is so clean and so nice. Okay, and this name is coming from the previous page which we passed using the global state variable zustand, and I can copy this shareable link and share it with someone who wants to join this meeting. So let me click on join. All right, so it is working fine. We are able to navigate to that. We can mute the microphone. We can just disable the camera. We can share the screen, and we can change the layout, how many team members are there. Let me copy it, this URL, and I'm going to open up another browser. Let's open up the Firefox. Let me bring that in, and I'm going to paste it over here. All right, let's allow. All right, let's click on join. All right, so we have two users now. Let me mute this actually. All right, so here you can see that in the first page we have two users. One is Umair. Let me mute this because it is causing some issues. Okay, so this one Umair, and this is the new user which it has joined, and we can send the message. So our application is working fine, and we have all the pre-built components automatically added along with the functionality. So let me go to this particular web JavaScript video conference page. If I scroll down, you will see that it is showing all the different parameters that we can use to customize it. We can enable and disable all the different options that this video conference component has. So starting off with this container, you can read its documentation. We can set the maximum users that can join any particular meeting. We can dynamically set it. So we can actually pass it over here. So max users. Okay, let's give it 10. So maximum users will be able to set to 10, but in real application you might want to pass it from the authenticated user database for separate for each user. Okay, you can pass it from a global variable. What we have next, we can add the scenarios. We can enable disable screen sharing configuration, width and height, frame rate for a screen sharing. We can enable disable all of these things. If I write show over here, it is going to show all the different options that we can enable disable in this particular application. So all this provided by Zegocloud, and if we try to build this kind of application from scratch, it can take us months to build. With Zegocloud allow us to build in 30 minutes or less than that. So let me know in the comment below, what do you think about the Zegocloud and whether you have implemented yourself or not. So I wanted to test copying this particular ID from URL and creating it, adding it in the form, and see if I'm able to join it or not. Let me write John, and let's add this meeting ID. Let's click on join, and let's allow the microphone and the camera, and I can change the name as well. So let's click on join, whether I'm able to see the 3 users in that meeting or not. All right, so you can see that I'm able to see 3 users. So by using this link as well and the meeting ID, I'm able to join that particular meeting, and you can see that how many members exist in this particular room. Alright guys, so that's pretty much it for this particular tutorial. Let me know in the comments below whether you want me to create tutorial for implementing this video conferencing application using SDKs rather than the UI kits. So do subscribe my channel, like my video. Thank you so much for watching again. See you in the next video.